Your dog has been sleeping next to you for years, but last night, something was different. And what it means will make you question everything you thought you knew about your dog. This is Dog Secrets. If you want to understand what your dog is really telling you, subscribe right now. Let's get into it. Here is the first thing most people completely misunderstand. 1. Your dog is not sleeping next to you because of warmth. This is the most common explanation owners reach for, and it sounds reasonable on the surface. You are warm, the bed is soft, and dogs love comfort. But that logic falls apart the moment you think about it seriously. Dogs are remarkably skilled at locating the most comfortable spot in any environment. They find the patch of sunlight on the hardwood floor at exactly 11 in the morning. They know which corner of the couch has the best cushioning. In summer, they press their belly against cool tile. In winter, they drag blankets into corners. If pure physical comfort were the goal, your dog has options, and many of them do not require climbing over you at 2 in the morning. So why do they keep choosing you? Because sleep is the moment of maximum vulnerability. Every animal that has ever existed knows this on a biological level. When you are unconscious, you cannot run, you cannot fight, you cannot respond. For an animal with ancient instincts still running in the background, rest is not neutral. Rest is risk. And yet your dog, who could sleep anywhere in the house, walks past the couch, past the rug, past the comfortable dog bed you spent good money on, and settles beside you. That is not about temperature. That is about trust in its most honest form. Researchers studying canine attachment have found that the bond dogs form with their primary humans mirrors, in several measurable ways, the bond that forms between a young child and their caregiver. There is a specific psychological pattern called secure attachment, and dogs demonstrate it. They use their human as a reference point. They feel calmer when their human is nearby. They become distressed when separated for extended periods. And when it comes to vulnerability, such as during sleep, they seek proximity to the one they trust most. So when your dog curls up beside you at night, what they are communicating is something most owners never consciously process. You are the safe place. Think about the dogs you know. Does yours sleep differently with different people in the household? Does your dog choose one person more consistently than others when it comes to sleeping close? Drop your answer in the comments. It is one of the most revealing things about how your dog sees the social structure around them, and the patterns people share are genuinely surprising. 2. They are doing something with scent that almost no one talks about. Before your dog settles, you have probably noticed a kind of ritual: the circling, the pawing at the sheets, the pressing and repositioning. Most people think this is about finding the right angle. It is not, or at least that is only part of it. Dogs live inside a sensory world built primarily from smell. While humans process the world visually first, a dog is constantly mapping their environment through scent. And their scent glands, concentrated around their paws, their skin, and the base of their tail, leave invisible chemical signatures on every surface they contact. When your dog presses against you repeatedly before sleeping, they are doing something deliberate. They are blending their scent signature with yours. In canine social groups, shared scent is one of the primary markers of belonging. Members of the same unit smell like each other. It is how they confirm group identity, and it is how they recognize that someone belongs. When your dog sleeps pressed against you night after night, they are not just resting near you. They are continuously reinforcing a shared identity. The message, translated into something a human can understand, is something like, "You and I are part of the same thing." This is also why your dog may sniff you with unusual intensity when you return home after spending time somewhere unfamiliar, like a friend's house or a place with other animals. You smell different. You smell like somewhere else. And that nighttime closeness, that repeated pressing and resting against your skin, is in part how they restore the shared scent profile that signals safety and unity to them. It reframes those moments, does it not? What looks like your dog being clingy is actually your dog maintaining the sensory language of belonging. 3. They have appointed themselves your guardian, and they take that role seriously. Here is something to observe tonight.
Where exactly does your dog position themselves when they sleep near you? Some dogs sleep facing the bedroom door. Some sleep at the foot of the bed. Some press against your spine, placing themselves between you and the wall. Some sleep with their back to the room, facing you directly. None of these positions are random. Dogs carry behavioral programming that runs far deeper than their daily lives would suggest.
For tens of thousands of years, the ancestors of modern dogs lived in social groups where survival depended on coordinated vigilance. Sleeping was never simply sleeping. It was sleeping with one eye on the perimeter. Resting members of the group positioned themselves strategically so that threats could be detected from multiple directions. The entire group benefited from this distributed alertness. Your living room is not a wild landscape. The biggest threat in your home is probably a mail slot. But your dog's nervous system does not fully know that, and so the ancient patterns persist. When your dog sleeps facing the door, they are monitoring the primary entry point. When they sleep across the foot of the bed, they are positioning themselves as the first line of contact. When they wedge themselves along your back, they are placing their body between you and what their instincts register as exposure. This is not something you trained them to do. You did not reward this behavior with treats. They arrived at it through instinct, and they show up to that position again every single night. That sense of responsibility, the quiet willingness to occupy a protective role while you sleep, is one of the more profound things a dog expresses, and most owners never realize it is happening. 4. The way they sleep tells you exactly how much they trust you. This is where things get specific, because not all sleep positions mean the same thing, and if you know how to read them, your dog is giving you real information every single night. Start with the curled position. Your dog tucks their nose toward their tail, wraps their body inward, and forms a compact shape. This posture has a direct protective function. The vital organs, particularly the abdomen, are shielded. In the wild, a tightly curled sleeping animal is reducing exposure. When a dog sleeps this way next to you, it usually indicates comfort, closeness, and a degree of trust, but with a layer of self-protection still active. They want to be near you. They are not yet in full surrender mode. Now, watch for what happens when a dog fully extends. Legs stretched out, body long, sometimes rolled partially onto their back with the belly partially exposed. That shift represents a meaningful change in the dog's internal state. The abdomen is one of the most sensitive and vulnerable areas on a dog's body. An animal that exposes it during sleep is communicating that nothing in the environment and no one nearby registers as a threat. That is a level of relaxation that is earned over time. It does not appear in a new home on the first night. It builds. The full belly-up position, where a dog lies completely on their back, legs in the air, utterly exposed, is the highest expression of this. It looks ridiculous. It is also an extraordinary signal. That dog is telling you they feel completely safe. There is no more vulnerable position, and they chose it right next to you. Then there is the position many owners misread. Your dog turns their back to you and sleeps with their spine against you or facing away from your face. A lot of people feel a small sting of rejection when this happens. It is actually the opposite. In canine social behavior, turning one's back toward another individual is a gesture of trust, not dismissal. You do not expose your back to someone you are uncertain about. You do not turn away from a threat. When your dog sleeps with their back to you, they are saying they do not need to monitor you. You are safe. They can look outward.
And finally, the full contact sleeper. The dog who is not just near you, but pressed hard against you, wedged between your legs, lying across your feet, or flattened against your ribs, sometimes in positions that genuinely look uncomfortable for them. This is not neediness in a negative sense. It is bonding intensity. Physical closeness is one of the primary ways dogs experience connection. Every centimeter of space they eliminate between their body and yours is, from their perspective, 1 centimeter more of security. Watch your dog tonight. Notice which position they choose. Notice if it changes depending on whether you seem calm or stressed. Notice if it shifts when something in the environment changes. They are speaking a language. You just have to know what to look for. 5. Your dog has resynchronized their internal clock around your life, and that is not a small thing. Dogs are not naturally wired to match a human schedule.
Their ancestral activity patterns were built around conditions that have nothing to do with office hours or Netflix. Dawn and dusk were the primary activity windows, tied to hunting rhythms that go back further than domestication. And yet, most bonded dogs do something remarkable. They adapt. They learn when you wake up. They anticipate when you are about to go to bed, sometimes positioning themselves before you have made any visible move toward the bedroom. They match their energy to yours throughout the day. When you are moving, they are alert. When you go still, they settle. Research on dogs living in close contact with humans has documented what scientists call activity synchronization. Over time, and with a genuine bond in place, dogs shift their natural rest and wake cycles to overlap more closely with their owner's patterns.
This is not just conditioning. It is not simply a trained response to cues. The underlying motivation is relational. They want to be awake when you are awake. They want to rest when you rest. They are orienting their lives around the rhythm of yours. Think about what that represents. An internal clock shaped by thousands of years of evolutionary pressure, adjusted not because survival demanded it, but because attachment motivated it. Your dog is not just sleeping near you at night. They have reorganized a fundamental biological rhythm around your existence. 6. By the time you notice your dog is closer than usual, they already knew something was wrong. This is one of the most striking things dogs do, and most people have experienced it without understanding what they were witnessing. You have a difficult day. Maybe it does not even involve anything dramatic. Maybe it is just accumulated tension, a low-grade anxiety that you are mostly holding together. And that evening, your dog does not leave your side. They follow you from room to room. They press against your leg. When you finally sit down, they are immediately beside you or on you. When you sleep, they are closer than usual. You probably thought it was sweet. Maybe you thought it was random. It was neither. Dogs read human physiological states with a precision that remains genuinely surprising even after decades of research. When you are under stress, your breathing pattern shifts. Your posture changes in subtle ways. The hormonal composition of your sweat alters because elevated cortisol changes how you smell. Your voice, even in normal conversation, carries different acoustic qualities when you are tense. Your micro movements while resting are different. Your dog detects all of this. Studies have demonstrated that dogs can distinguish between emotional states based on scent alone, separate from any visual or auditory information. They respond differently to stress-related hormonal signals than they do to a person in a baseline calm state. And because your dog has been sleeping beside you night after night, accumulating a detailed sensory record of your baseline, they notice the deviation immediately. Before you have articulated anything to yourself or to anyone else, your dog knows something is different. That is why some dogs become particularly attached during illness or during grief or during periods of high stress. They are not behaving out of learned obligation. They are responding to real signals with something that functions behaviorally and neurologically very much like empathy. That quiet closeness on a hard night is not an accident. They felt you long before you said a word. 7. If they suddenly stop, that is not something to ignore. Everything described so far assumes a dog that consistently seeks closeness at night. But what happens when that changes? Your dog has slept beside you for a year, or 3 years, or 7 years. It has been as consistent as anything in the household. And then one night, they do not come. They choose the floor, or the hallway, or a different room entirely. And the next night, the same. And the next. Most owners dismiss this. Dogs change, they think. Maybe they just want more space. Sometimes that is true, but a sudden, sustained change in sleeping behavior in a dog that has been consistent is a signal worth taking seriously, because dogs do not make this change casually. The first possibility to consider is physical. Pain is one of the most common drivers of behavioral change in dogs, and it is often invisible. A dog with developing joint problems, internal discomfort, or early illness may begin to find the bed difficult to navigate or may associate a certain position with discomfort. Older dogs in particular can shift sleeping locations as a response to physical needs they cannot communicate in any other way. If there is no obvious environmental explanation and the dog is older, a veterinary check is a reasonable first step. The second possibility is environmental. Something has changed around them. A new person or animal in the house, furniture moved, a new scent introduced, a stressor that registers as significant to the dog even if you have barely noticed it. Dogs form strong associative maps of their environment, and disruptions that seem minor to a human can feel genuinely destabilizing to an animal whose sense of safety depends on predictability. The third possibility is the one that tends to sit uncomfortably with people. Something emotional has shifted. Dogs associate spaces with experiences. If something stressful, frightening, or confusing happened in the bedroom, or if a relationship in the household has changed in ways the dog has registered, they may withdraw as a self-protective response. They are not punishing you. They are responding to something real. What matters is this. When your dog chose to sleep beside you, that was a deliberate act of connection. When they withdraw from that, it is equally deliberate. Both are communication. The question is whether you are paying attention. The nightly presence of your dog beside you was never a small thing. It was trust made physical. It was a choice, repeated every single night, to be vulnerable in your presence.
To share their rest, which is when they are most exposed, with you. To place their body between you and the unknown. They were not there because the bed was warm. They were there because you are safe. Because you are home. Because somewhere in the long and layered history between dogs and humans, your dog decided that where you are is where they belong. The only real question is whether you have been seeing it.